session meeting, I guess we should call it, for tonight on January 14th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Mr. Bridge will be acting as the clerk because Ms. Berner could not make it this evening. So good evening, everyone. Mr. Bridge, if you would call the roll, please.
Thank you, Mayor Lowry. And we'll start with a roll call. Mayor Lowry.
Here.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Here.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Here.
Councilman Rodwald.
Here.
Councilman Grimm.
I'm here.
And Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Yes, here.
And Councilmember Cobb. So he is absent. We have 6 members present, which is a quorum to proceed with the meeting.
Thank you very much, sir. And then also, just so everyone's aware, we have a couple guests with us tonight. Before we move on, Jake, our city attorney, and Miss Marshall from the water department. So thank you both for joining us. And moving on to the invocation by Vice Mayor Cook.
If you will, bow your heads. Our Heavenly Father, please guide us with all of our duties tonight. Guide us in the way that you think the citizens of New Carlisle will want us to respond. Please bless all of our first responders, keep them safe, our troops overseas, and see if you can keep this government intact in Washington, D.C. this next week. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb, or Mr. Cook. I'm sorry. I apologize, sir. And moving on to the pledge. Mr. Grimm has the flag for us. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag
of the United
of the United
States,
States of America,
to
and
the
to the
republic
republic
for
for
which
which
it
Which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty.
with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Grimm. All right. And moving on here. Let's see. Pledge, action on the minutes, none. Communications, none. City manager's report, none. Comments from members of the public. Mr. Bridge, how's the inbox looking?
Give me 1 second. I do apologize.
No problem.
It is loading right now. I'm just praying my iPad does not choose to update. We have no new emails.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. And let's see. Drop down committee reports, none tonight. Resolution ordinances, none. Other business. We have water bill discussion. So the reason this meeting was called was, I don't know how many citizens are watching or how many of you are aware. With the party that we have that mails out the city water bills, they've done their part for this month. The bills went out, but with everything going on with COVID, I guess the water bills, some people may have received them, some haven't. But we're here to discuss if council wants to look at altering maybe the way we handle late fees for this month, or any other ideas council may have regarding the delay that some may have got with their water bills. So with that being said, I don't know if Mr. Bridge, did you have anything to start with, or would you like me to go to council first?
I think let's hear from Kathy Marshall. She's our utility building clerk. I just want her to give some a quick overview of really the impactful of what happened over this isolated event.
Okay. Normal bills went out on December 23rd. They were sent and accepted, and they were returned and sent out into the mail. From talking to the postmaster in New Carlisle, he thought that they were stuck in Columbus. I did not get my bill until last week. There were a few people that got them earlier, and then I kept in contact with him, and he wasn't sure what was going on in Columbus, but he said it was a major backload that started right before Christmas. I was, of course, nervous, wondering, but what I found interesting was that a lot of people are signed up for our online pay, and they were, my payments were coming in. I did receive calls, and I know Angela received calls for people who needed to know how much their bill was, A lot of the people here in town who have lived here for a while, they know when they're due, and they know when they don't have them, that something's going on. So we were able to help them, tell them how much they were. I think by looking at my totals, I'll have a better total I could have for you Monday evening or Monday afternoon, because the due date is actually tomorrow. But just glancing at it yesterday and looking at some figures and stuff, we're on the mark like we normally are. I'm thinking we may be about I'm just going to guess 100 payments more than what we normally would see, or 100 more delinquents that will be going. I'm not sure. I've had a couple people call and was bummed that they didn't have it earlier, but the majority of the people have been extremely kind. They've had other issues with the post office, and they knew that there was some kind of delay going on. Trying to think what else. That's about it in a nutshell. How it was. Yeah.
So you were saying for this month we're going to have 100 more.
Well, I'm just estimating.
Projecting, guesstimating 100 more bills or accounts that will be late this month.
Right. Now it could be a little more than 100. Let's just say up to 200. I'm just trying to play safe. I don't know.
Yeah. But it's not a drastic number like 2,000.
Not what I was expecting at the beginning of the month. I mean, I was concerned, where's this stack of bills? I talked to the utility department. I happened to be talking to the gal up in Piqua. They send out 8 gigantic loads of bills. They have over 8,000 accounts. Right. And the post office actually lost 3 of their boxes of bills. Okay. And so they were dealing with that, just trying to, people were calling them too, but that was a heck of a lot more than what we were dealing with. Well, I send out approximately 2,330 bills a month, and there are 3,000 people who have actually signed up on Invoice Cloud. But I think some of those are either like a husband and wife that's on an account, or even there's probably still some accounts on there that are, closed and they haven't been wiped off. There are, I have my ACH payments. Those are the ones that the people have the water bill come out of their checking or their savings. I take care of that at the office. I send that into PNC, and I have close to 300 people that are on that. The rest, though, are people that put it in a night drop or mail it. I noticed that I had got a few calls in December. We had not received their checks, and they had gotten their delinquent notice, and they had mailed them out the beginning of December. And I know last week I got a Christmas card dated December 4th from Springfield at my house. And so, they were frustrated. One business in particular, she had told me that she had received notices from all of her accounts payables that they hadn't received her checks. And she was frustrated, and there's not much I can do with the, she wanted me to waive the fee. Unfortunately, I don't waive fees, but it's public funds. We have an ordinance that covers that. I did suggest, to people, don't use the mail, put it in the night drop if you feel comfortable doing that. So we have a lot of ways of paying. And since I am seeing the money coming in, I don't know what the end result will be for this month.
Okay. Council, any questions or comments to Ms. Marshall? Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Kathy, what is our normal delinquent bill status? Are we talking 25, 30 a month?
Well, I can send out each month approximately 500 and some delinquent notices. When it comes down to the day that we do shutoffs, our normal is around 35 people. We've had more, and we've had, down to probably maybe 20 since I've worked there. I had thought about different things all through the years, thought about getting rid of mailing the delinquents, because we just do that as a courtesy. And I'm afraid if we would do something like that, come time for our shut off, we're going to have over, 100 people easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was concerned about, when you've got 4 guys in the water department, and especially like right now when they're doing split shifts, I don't know if that's feasible. I mail out the delinquents around anywhere from the 17th to the 18th of the month. But then I have to turn around. Right now, with the way the postal service has been, I turn around the 23rd or 24th and mail out my regular bills. So some of these people are getting their delinquents, one day, and then 5 days later, they get their regular bill. So, I didn't know what you all were thinking or anything, but I thought I'd, let you know that too.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Vice Mayor, would you got anything? I'll get to you next, after Mr. Rodwell. Thank you.
My question was answered, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good. Mr. Vice Mayor, anything else?
The only thing I'm questioning at that point, if we basically have 500 delinquents and we're down to 35 shutoffs, how many shutoffs do we actually do in a month's time? Are we down to the 10, 15?
No, we have 35. That's our average, is 35
That's
shots.
our average, okay.
And that's not bad for sending out 500 delinquents, I don't think.
No, it's
No,
less than
I
10%.
A lot of people, they wait till they get their delinquent bill. A lot of them, can't pay it at the beginning of the month. There's just so many different scenarios. I don't know.
Mr. Vice Mayor, is you good, or can I head up to Mr. Bridge?
That's it.
All right, Mr. Bridge.
Hey, Kathy, if you don't mind, this time of year, we see a slight increase in delinquents due to the holidays. And we talked about that earlier on the phone. Can you just tell council just maybe 3 seconds about what you see through the holidays with the bill pay?
Sure. People will normally get their, bills done in November, or they start asking for payment arrangements in. Then we get through the Christmas, and the payment arrangements for the year are over. They have to start over. And when I go to send out my delinquent bills for January, there's normally, more than what's normal. I think it's because people are just trying to get their, funds back together. I have a lot of payment arrangements that do come in. Now, when I talk a lot, to me, that could be, 10 or 15, because a lot of people don't take advantage of that. We offer it, but where other times in the month, I may have one, so I do see an increase in the beginning of the year on delinquents as opposed to the paid accounts.
And the reason I wanted her to say that is because I think with this particular scenario, and I think it's great that council came together in such a short amount of time in addressing this issue. But I think we almost had like the perfect storm of why this happened, with the post office being ravaged with COVID. So apparently there's talk about the separators being removed. And then on top of everyone mailing things for Christmas at a higher rate because we couldn't be with our family. So I love the fact that council's getting this and looking at the policy and looking at maybe the way making it better. But I would just urge council to kind of look at this and understand the ripple effect that would have if we do change the policy. Like if we get rid of the penalty, then how that's going to impact, our revenue, or if we don't do delinquents, how that's going to impact these shutoffs. And as Mrs. Marshall stated earlier, we have multiple ways for people to find out what their bill is, and also multiple ways for them to pay it. So I would just like to, again, just reiterate, we're here because of an issue that happened. And I think, it was just such an isolated incident that I don't know how moving forward, if this happens again 2 or 3 times, is that something that when these drastic changes are kind of looked at and made. But as a key policy advisor for the city, I would hope council would understand the ripple effect that goes to changing any of the codes that we have.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge. Council, anyone else on this? Okay, we'll hit Mr. Roadwall and then we'll get to you, Miss Eggleston.
Mrs. Marshall, what is the average? Do you know what the average water bill is for the city?
Well, just our, well, right now, since we had the rate increase, we're paying $18 for every 1,000 gallons of water and sewer.
Yep.
I would say the average is between, on most households, is around 4,000.
Okay.
Oh, 4,000, okay.
4,000 gallons,
Right, I was like,
Yeah.
Find that.
which
We
is
got really good water. guys.
which is now $72.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and there are some that use a lot more. There are some that use less. Yeah.
And I couldn't think of a better time, Kathy, for you to let council know what you reached out to Invoice Cloud for those credit card processing fees, and
Yeah.
how we're
Yeah.
looking to maybe suggest that change to them.
Okay. As I've been looking at the increases, right now on Invoice Cloud, you could go in there and you pay. We have a set limit of $100. I think it's like 102. That includes the $1.95 fee. Well, at the time when we signed up for this, that, the average bill was less than what we're paying now. So I did put in a call to them to see if we were to increase that from 100 to 150 to see what the fee would be. Maybe it won't change. It might go up a little. But right now, if you have a bill for $110, you're going to pay $1.95 for the first 100. And then anything over 100, you're going to pay another $1.95. So somebody who has a, 5,000 or 6,000 bill will end up, paying $3.90 on top of that. And I just thought it might be something for us to look at on changing that to let the people have, they can easily go in there then and pay. The limit will be at 150. If their bill's 124, they could pay it with just the one-time fee. That was an idea.
right. All right. Mr. Roadwall, do you have anything else?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. Miss Eggleston.
how's the late fee calculated? Is that a percentage?
Yeah, 10%.
10%.
10% on the water and the sewer.
Okay.
Let me jump back to kind of a subject you were just talking on, Ms. Marshall. Okay, so now that we're doing the online billing, and I think if I remember Mr. Bridge correctly, we have ballpark 2,000 people that use the online billing now and pay online. Is that ballpark?
Well, we have 3,000 people registered. I'm not sure. I don't know the exact figure of how much, we're getting in, like, especially since this COVID thing, a lot more people have come aboard.
Right. Okay.
Because some people may create the account just to have the viewing option and they get notified when their bill's due, but they may not take advantage of paying online.
Yeah, now see that, I'll go over that real quick if I can.
Yes.
It's amazing. At Invoice Cloud, you can go in and you can register. You can put your account in, your name. When it comes up, you'll see all your past bills and notices. You click on it and you can register your email or even your phone number. And the day I do bills and send them to Peregrine to be mailed out, you'll get a notice, an email or a text message, and it'll say, hey, you have a new bill from the city of New Carlisle. It'll also have an attachment of a PDF of your actual bill. So you can print it out. I signed up for it, even though I still get a paper bill in my mail because I'm always wanting to see when I'm getting them as opposed to when they're being mailed.
Right.
And I think that's a great feature. This month, Angela and I both have encouraged people to do that. I have helped probably 6 older citizens in getting them signed up, and they're looking forward to getting that. You do not have to sign up for paperless billing. That is an option. A lot of people like that real well, but it's something that, when you sign up, you will create a little password. And so then when that email comes to you and you click on the link and it takes you to Invoice Cloud, you'll enter your password and then there it is. But you do not have to pay.
And that's great because I didn't know that that was an available feature. I thought you only got that information if you signed up and paid online. So
Right.
we'll have to get that.
Yeah. I encourage you guys, if you haven't ever tried it, to try it.
Yeah. So just my 2 cents on the original reason we were meeting about possibly getting rid of the late fees, and unfortunately for me, I was really, interested in the idea of maybe relieving these late fees because I was assuming in the way it looked, we were going to be short, not short, but no one was going to get their bills or maybe just a handful of people. But, right about the time we set this meeting up, I think the next day I got my bill. And then, I spoke with Kathy and Mr. Bridge. It sounds like the majority of the town got their bill, as far as I know, prior to the due date. So, and the number you gave us, Kathy, isn't a drastic number as far as what, your guesstimate of what we may see 100 or so. I was thinking it may be somewhere in the, in the 500 to even 1,000 plus.
Oh, yeah.
Not near as bad as what I was thinking it was going to be. But I still like the idea that council was wanting to come together to possibly look at doing something, even though it technically wasn't our responsibility, I guess. And this wouldn't have changed either. If we would have went back to the old way and mailed them out ourselves, it probably wouldn't have changed, would it, have, Mr. Bridge?
No.
Because it was a major problem. It wasn't.
When I was mailing them before, I had to do the bills and take them to Tip City because we weren't allowed to take them to New Carlisle.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would take them to Tip City. They would go from Tip to Troy to Cincinnati to Columbus and back here.
Right.
And right now, with Peregrine mailing, they still end up probably at the big hub of Columbus or even Cincinnati. I'm not sure. I'm guessing Columbus. And, but before that was crazy. Just like now at the post office, if you mail your letter outside the building of the post office to New Carlisle, it's going to go to Cincinnati or Columbus before it comes back to the post office.
Right.
If you want that bill or that card that you're mailing to your neighbor to go to New Carlisle the next day or two, you want to take it inside and put it in the drop box inside.
It's a good little fact drop, Kath. Thanks for that.
Well, and I learned that. I didn't know that till, but they come up and they empty them and they load them up. And even the postmaster had said how things have changed. Like I think before they could sit there and sort through the stuff in the office and maybe move things around. Now they can't. They are told they have to move things, get them out. They can't come back in and get mail, something that they forgot. They have to leave and go do their job, and it will wait till the next day. I think the postmaster here in New Carlisle does a good job. I like him. He's very personable. You can get a hold of him. He'll call you back. You can email him, So I knew that the trouble wasn't at New Carlisle.
Right. Well, thank you, Kathy. Mr. Grimm, did you have something?
Yeah, when I was mailing newspapers, I quickly learned anything that goes to New Carlisle or Medway, you take inside to the desk, to the clerk. Ask them to hand stamp it, and like at a P.O. box, they just walk it over to the P.O. box.
Yeah.
I agree it would be a bad idea to abolish the late fee across the board. What if we were to amend the ordinances with something to the effect of, in case of extenuating circumstances, council may waive late fees for a certain month? Would that be, Jake, would that be something feasible?
Yeah, I think you could do something like that, but I don't know how you define extenuating circumstances.
By vote of council.
Yeah, I mean, you could put something in there like that, but for it to go into effect, as far as the timing of the bills, when the payments are received and all of that, I don't think you're going to be able to provide relief immediately. It's something that's going to take a little bit of time because you're not going to have all the information you need to know how many outstanding payments there are.
Like she already said, what, a couple hundred, Kathy?
Well, on top of the normal,
Oh,
on top of the normal.
So another thing too, we would end up like, I think what he's saying is like, we would have to go through the billing process and charge them the late fee and then maybe credit their account the next month.
And that would
But-
take, yeah, that'd take time to do.
And that's, yeah, that-
And thus costing us time and money.
Money.
On top
And,
of,
and that's, I mean, for, you know, just doing some quick math there, I mean, you're averaging, the average late fee is going to be $7 to $10. If the average water bill's $70, you know, 70, 75, even 80. And it's for less than 10% of the current residents that get paper bill.
Mhm.
Now I'm not saying that's not a lot of money to some people, because it is. But if you got it within the last couple of days, like Mayor Lowry said and Kathy said, you know, you can easily just run it up and drop it off at the drop box. Just as knowing the issues that they're having in the postal service. I just, yeah, I don't see the reason to waive the late fees and then add on the extra time and effort it's going to take to figure out who actually deserves a late fee, who doesn't.
And you gotta take it, I mean, this was weird circumstances, but I'll tell you what, even throughout the COVID, our citizens paid their bills.
Mhm.
You know, there was some, of course, that couldn't because of their, circumstances, but they came through, you know, when they needed to. And, you know, I think even this month with them not having the bill at the first week and stuff, I have to say I seen the payments coming in every day, whether it was at the office, in the mail, or online. And you need that, you know, to keep that water department, sewer department running.
all right. Thank you, Kathy. Anyone else? Mr. Bridge.
Another thing too is, you know, say, and depending if council does anything or changes anything, one of the things that we need to be aware about too is, let's say we have at the end of the year, particularly in December, and let's say some things came in later, we waived some. I don't know how much that would impact our finance director closing out that year, because she would have to wait for all that to come in because we can soft close, but then she has to go back in and put those revenues in for the year that they were supposed to be in. So I don't think that'd be an issue except for like that last month of the year. So that'd be another ripple effect if we do this. Would that take another month to close the books out because of we have to wait for any additional adjustments being made off of those credits and debits?
All right. Okay. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Basically, I think we're a little late on trying to do anything other than give a credit back for this month. However, in going forward, let's say, for example, the printer and the fellow that getting our bills out would have some kind of a breakdown, which would in turn throw a delay in the system, or we could end up with another delay like this, like in Pickway, where they lose 2 or 3 boxes of more mail. Would it not be wise to have the law director draw up some amendment to this, I guess the word is ordinance, so that in this event happens in the past, council by majority could either waive and or extend the due date?
There you go. Like
Well,
maybe
extending the
let me-
due date, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna jump into what you said, Bill, and I kind of liked where you were going, is maybe not necessarily for the mail carriers, but I'm glad you brought up the second party that deals with our bills. If they were to have a problem, then that is our fault. I mean, it's not our fault directly, but we do contract them to handle it. So therefore, if they were to have a print problem, I do think that would be a valid time for us to step in and do something. So I like that, actually.
Yeah.
Would you guys be willing to make that the authority of the city manager? If you look at the codes, a lot of that discretion would come down to the city manager. And I asked that, whether it be me or the next person in charge, is if you guys don't have a meeting set, it could be 2 weeks before you meet again, unless you call another special meeting. A decision like that would have to be made relatively quickly. But if you look at some of the codes, any kind of discretion is usually given under the authority of the city manager.
So basically, you're suggesting just make the change to where it's the city manager's discretion to do so, or to make a change or
But
alter.
yeah, like, yeah, but that's, yeah, I mean, it would have to be just in order for it to happen so quickly.
Right.
And then
Which would be,
two,
yeah, which would be the smarter way to do it. Anything, if it's quicker is better.
yeah, and I would, and knowing how I am, I would call the mayor and vice mayor and be like, hey, this is what's going on. What is your two opinion, whether it be you two or the next two other people, just to get that feedback from at least two of you. But as far as, and maybe make it a city man, well, I don't know if you can do an and or, but Jake can look into that and see if that would fall under the operations. And it's that, and it's also too, just how quickly it can be applied.
Yeah. No, I like that. I don't, Mr. Vice Mayor, Council.
Yeah, extending the due date though might create the problem, like I said, with sending out. We'd probably eliminate sending out delinquents that month, because of the date. If it was extended, an extra 5 days or something like that, that would get into the calendar work.
Yep.
It would mess that up.
Yeah.
Go
And
ahead,
that-
Mr. Nowakowski. Let me, Ms. Nowakowski, real quick.
I would also leave that. I like the idea of having that decision made by Randy and announcing the extension date, posting it on our new website, right? It's going to be up really soon.
Yeah. Another thing too, instead of extending anything, we have the payment plan that you can go on. You can get up to 3 payment plans in a calendar year.
Right.
Maybe council should look at it like you can waive your late fee twice a year or 3 times a year. And that way it's applicable to those who need it. And if you're not taking advantage, if you don't, just keep it kind of on the same path as that payment plan. Because like if you extend it, then the delinquents are going to be an issue, and then it's going to have a ripple effect on us being able to go and get everyone turned on and off. So maybe, like I said, have it to where when we can track that in account. Kathy, we already do that in the software. They're on payment plan 1, payment plan 2, payment plan 3. Whatever council set, whether that's 1 a year, 2 times a year, or 3 times a year, in case we have these situations done. That way, it's a little bit more easier to decipher in the code, and it's a little more clean as far as a directive for the ordinances for us to operate on. That way, if we have this thing where the post office is backed up or we mess up, we can by law, not by law, but have that, you get 3 a year, 2 a year. Just a thought to pass out.
Right. Good. Thank you, Mr. Bridge. Mr. Grimm.
Whether the decision is made by council or by Mr. Bridge really doesn't matter. Whatever we do, we have to look at the best interests of the citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there are a lot of people that don't like to do stuff online. I'm one of them.
Mhm.
They count on getting that bill, and it's hard sometimes to keep track of which bills you've paid and which bills you haven't.
Mhm.
I think waiving the late fee under, like I said, extenuating circumstances would be a good idea.
But I think make sure you're understanding, Mr. Grimm. I think Randy's saying if we just amend it to where it says that whatever the decision is, it basically is just going to be worded, if that's what council chooses to put in there, I guess, is that this, Mr. Bridge would be the one who could enact whatever he decides or council agrees. And that way it can just be done quicker. That whether it's the late fee is just, gotten rid of for that month, in 2 years down the road, it doesn't need to be in the language. It just means we just need to put it in there that Randy can go in and open it up and do what he sees fit with discussion with council. Correct, Mr. Bridge?
Yeah, and I got some more to add to that whenever I'm free to speak, sir.
Yeah.
I'm
Are you
done.
good? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Go ahead,
So,
Mr. Bridge.
and Jake, please feel free to chime in on this. But I would just strongly recommend council just set it up to where if you're an account holder, you get 3 a year or 2 a year. And what that's going to do is it's going to give everyone an equal shot. And it's going to take my decision making out of it. That way we're not, well, this address did that address got this, but this address didn't get that. If you just have it equally applied to each council, get 3 a year, and all they need to do is call Kathy and be like, hey, I want to enact my late fee waive this year. For one of them this year, or 2, whatever you guys set, and then Kathy can do it on her own. And that what it does is it leaves the picking and choosing it's going to be very hard to define extenuating circumstances, but you want to get away from anything that could be labeled as subjective and that subjective decision making. You know, so when you apply that, hey, you just get 2 a year or 3 a year, it is not subjective. It is to your liking when you want to use it, if you want to use it at all. But it would actually be the responsibility of the user to call Kathy and be like, hey, I would like to issue waive one of my late fees for the year. That way it's there, set for everyone.
So that would include all the accounts, even like, an account we have that has a $3,000 water bill.
Well, the council would.
Hopefully they would pay it
Yeah.
before that, but they
That
could.
would be a $300 loss on that penalty. So maybe you guys cap it at a certain amount. You know, is this more geared
Or-
towards residents versus?
Residential.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But the payment option to skip the payments, that's in there, right? Or that's already in there, correct?
Yes. To make a payment arrangement, yes, they just have to notify us like this month. If you can't make your bill, Mike, you call me, we have a paper you sign, we come up with a date that you're gonna be doing it. And then you follow through. And I've
So
had
what-
good responses with that. Like I said, I don't have very many people that use it.
So what Randy just suggested is already in place though?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I
So what
thought.
no, you still get charged the late fee if you go on the payment.
Oh, okay.
You still have to pay the late fee and the payment plan. So basically what I was suggesting is, hey, if you know you're not be able to pay your bill 1 month, you just say, hey, I need to go on payment. What if you're just paying late and not going on the payment plan and paying it 2 days?
Got it.
It just takes the late fee off of it.
No, that's good. Thank you. Good,
Mhm.
Mr. Grimm.
If we implement Randy's plan, is that gonna be a nightmare for Kathy?
Probably maybe for a few months. But
She's
if I
retiring in
retire,
November. She's retiring in November or maybe March now.
Kathy,
I
I-
got that letter tomorrow.
well, the thing is, when you have, you're going to have the people that will follow the rules and will call or hear about it through word of mouth. Unfortunately, on social media, it's not always put out correctly. And there probably would be some kind of a nightmare situation of people calling in and not understanding it and the time we'd have to take to explain it and all. I can't even get people to read the bills. And I don't know if you've all taken time to look at the front and the back. When we approached doing the new bills and we brought it to council and you guys gave us some good suggestions on making this bill, I still find a lot of people don't read the message in the middle. It used to be at the bottom of the postcard and people didn't read that. I used to put the exact date that we were doing shutoffs and people never read that. It's kind of, that's the kind of stuff that would probably take time, is to have to, explain and stop, and who knows, the phone calls or things, but I don't know. We haven't ever done it,
All right. Mr. Grimm, anything else, sir?
I'm done.
All right. Mr. Rodwall, did you have something?
No, sir.
Okay. But just off the top of your head, since we've never done it, Kathy, I mean, you don't think it's necessarily something that couldn't be done?
Oh, sure. Well, hey, when we went through the state mandate of not posting penalties and not doing shutoffs,
True.
that was done. It was okay, but that was for the whole city.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, you
Okay.
can easily see what somebody's penalty amount is, on each account. You can, you have access to that.
Right. Okay. All right. Any other comments on this topic?
Now, sorry, Mike.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Mr. Rodwall.
Now, when we're talking about this, could we put in some verbiage to say that the late fee could not exceed no more than, say, $25? That way.
For the example of like that $3,000.
Yep. Yeah. So, if your late fee exceeds more than $25, you either have to pay the difference or you can't take that what's the word I'm looking for here? I want to say mulligan, but it's not mulligan. It's not golf.
Yeah.
Brief.
Get credit.
The bypass.
Yep.
Well, do you have commercial, or I'm sorry, do you have residential accounts that get that high, or if we just stuck it just to commercial account, or not commercial, I'm sorry, residential, would that do it? I mean, do you have residential accounts that have really high late fees?
Say that again.
Do you have residential accounts that have really high late fees, like over 25, like what Dan was saying?
No, sometimes if they're, if it's a large water bill due to, their leak or, I've had residentials that have over between $200 and $300 a month water bills. I have a few of those.
Okay. So
You
do
know.
you think, what do you think, Dan? Do you think maybe just putting it to residential people only, or I don't know?
No, I'm fine with that too. If that, whatever's easiest, to be honest with you. Whatever's easiest for Kathy and Randy and Howie and everyone, just to make sure that hopefully this never happens again. Let's be honest. Hopefully this is a one-time thing, but whatever makes it easiest for Kathy to get the bills out and makes it easiest for everyone to agree.
Right. What's council think on that one? Ms. Nowakowski?
I mean, anybody who has a water bill that's that huge and is residential, if they need to take it, they need to take it for a reason. So, I mean, it's not like they're not going to make it up.
You're talking about one that would be over, say, $25?
Right.
Okay. Just anyone else? Okay. Mr. Grimm?
If we make it a certain amount, then we would have to keep updating it each time rates go up.
True.
Another,
I was getting ready to say, Mr. Bridge, you got any suggestions?
well, So another thing too is, and then I'm just devil's advocate here. Council can also just see how it goes in the next couple months and not change anything right now, because at the end of the day, this is an enterprise fund, and we got to watch the revenue we'll be taking out. And I am kind of nervous that we don't know how 2021 revenue is going to come in. We don't know how COVID is going to impact that. Is this really the time to be taking a revenue stream out of the water department and the sewer department when it was just what we see a isolated incident? So that's another thing I'd like council to really critically think about. Is this just a situational thing, and do we wait a couple more cycles to see if there's really is a widespread problem?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bridge. Mr. Roadball.
Now, we didn't have this problem in October or November, right, Kathy?
Oh, no.
So, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, just one other thing I was going to throw in. I did speak to Peregrine, and I asked them when I send my bills out this month, the large bills, not the delinquents, they're going to put a tracking on it that goes through the post office. And the post office has to let them know when it's here, when it's there, when it's coming in. They did that one time for me, and it was interesting to read. And so he said it cost them a little bit to do that, but he said he had no problem, because we were not the only city, like I said, that had bills not being delivered on time in Ohio, especially Ohio and Illinois is what I heard.
Yeah. So this, like Mr. Bridge said, this is most likely, let's knock on wood, just a freak incident. We haven't had no issues prior to December.
Right.
I think the post office just got, inundated with, like you said earlier, so many Christmas cards, gifts. FedEx, UPS was all overwhelmed. So I'm more inclined with Mr. Bridge to, let's maybe table this until we get maybe January, February, March, and see if now if this problem consists. Then yes, we need to address it. But if by March or February we're back to normal and everyone's getting their bills in a timely manner, then I just don't see, because like Mr. Bridge said, the water and sewer they have to be self-sufficient. They have to make money. They have to turn a profit, or at least stay, sustainable. And we don't know how this will affect the bottom line going into 2021, because we know COVID's not going anywhere anytime soon. Unfortunately, it's still 4, 5, 6 months out before we start to see some real reprieve from the vaccines and other things. So I think if someone is having an issue, like Mrs. Marshall said, there's avenues that the city offers to help them when it comes to making sure that their water stays on. They just have to be willing to communicate.
Yeah, communication is the key. And I think everybody there at the city building, whenever they take a utility call, they're always, everybody's always helpful, to try to give the correct answers and do all that.
All right, thank you. Mr. Grimm, did you have something, sir?
I think, disagree with Mr. Bridge. I think looking at the city's bottom line is less important than being fair to the citizens. I got my bill on Saturday. Monday or Tuesday, I dropped it in the drop slot at the office. But I think if there's something happens, like you said, they have problems printing the bills and can't get them out in time. If they get a bill 2 or 3 days before it's due, that's not really being fair to the citizens. I think we still needed an option of being able to waive the late fees under circumstances like this, just to be fair.
All right. Anyone else? Mr. Roadwall.
Now, Kathy, have we ever had a printer issue with the company that we're using?
No, not at all.
And how many years have we been using this particular company?
It's just been, I think we've just been a little over, just about a year.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there anything built into the contract for them, Mr. Bridge, regarding stipulations like that, if they were to drop the ball, stuff like that?
I'll have to review it. But usually it's not the company dropping the ball or the city dropping the ball. It's the U.S. Postal Service dropping the ball.
Right.
And just a feedback on Mr. Grimm's comment, it's not about being fair to the citizens or not. It's an enterprise fund in the state of Ohio. And what we have here is a very small amount of people who were impacted and a much greater amount of people who actually knew how to get their stuff, whether it be through the online or calling, and had no problem paying online. So you may be able to get a benefit to a small amount of people just one time or something, but it's going to have a ripple effect back on those who do take the responsibility and get their stuff paid on time. If we didn't have the online hookup where people couldn't go and get their bill and get all that notification, then yeah, I get it. That's the only way they got the bill. But we have so many avenues for people to find out what that is. And it doesn't take long to drop it in the night drop box. So it just needs to be a policy that's fair for everyone.
All right, thank you. Mr. Roadwall.
I mean, like piggybacking off Mr. Bridge, it's not even the online, because like Mr. Grimm said earlier, a lot of our citizens don't like the internet, whether that because they can't navigate it or anything, but they do like the telephone. And the many times I've been into that city building, I can't count how many times Kathy's been on the phone with one of our citizens addressing an issue. So they have no problem picking up the phone when they have a concern or an issue or a question. So I agree with Mr. Bridge. There are several avenues that those who were worried or impacted by the late bill, and it's not even late. I mean, Mr. Grimm said he got his on Saturday. That's 6 days to pay. Now, and I'm sure he said he took his right up to the drop box, dropped it off probably Monday. So it's not like the city's hard to navigate through. It's not like it's a large city. You can get from one side to the other if you know your way around in about 7 minutes.
Right. All right, Ms. Eggleston, I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to put you on the spot just to get your kind of feedback because we kind of see where everybody stand. I just want to make sure we get everybody their opportunity to where they stand on this.
I agree with Mr. Bridge and Mr. Roadwall. I think we ought to see where it goes in February and March. I pull my bill off of the internet and I had my bill before Christmas, and you don't have to pay your bill online to do it that way. You can just get your bill and print it out if you want a hard copy. You can call if you don't want to mess with the internet, you can call the city building and anybody can tell you what your bill is. And bills are always due on the 15th.
Well, thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot. I just wanted to get your 2 cents. I appreciate it. So just my observation is that we've got a couple different ideas here. I would assume if we were to move forward with any of the ideas, we would need a motion, but I don't see a drastic slide one way or another, but that is completely up to council if you would like to do so. Mr. Grimm.
I could respond to a couple points Mr. Rodewald made. I do have a little bit of experience dealing with printers, and over 10 years' time.
I didn't hear you. Experience with what?
Dealing with printers.
Oh, printers. Okay. It cut out right when you got to that part.
And over 10 years' time, there were maybe like 5 or 6 times I'd get a call from the printer said, we're broke down. We're not going to have your papers done until this evening or tomorrow. It does happen, and you don't know when it's going to happen. Secondly, there are a lot of people in town who are not mobile and who cannot get to the Dropbox. If it's a mail problem, like my instance, if I got it on Saturday and I mailed it Monday, with the mail problems, it could take much longer to get to the city, get from here to the post office.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Grimm. All right. Does council have anything else to add on this particular topic? Okay. Since this is, I'll ask Mr. Bridge and Mr. Jeffries, actually, since I'm sitting here looking at the agenda, and it does say, where am I? It says water bill business. Can we discuss another slight topic, kind of what we were talking about earlier about the credit card cap and whatnot, or would you prefer to just stick to what we were on?
If it has to do, I didn't read a legal ad that Emily put out. What did it say?
I think it just, if I remember correctly, I haven't looked at it since a little while, but just water bill adjustment. So this actually falls under it, actually.
As long as it adjusts the water bill, you're good. You can talk about anything related to the bills.
On the $1.95, credit card fee, and for the $100 cap, is Mr. Bridge and Miss Marshall, are you guys still going to be investigating that as far as the average bills for the citizens before we make any kind of calls on that?
Yeah, I'll have Kathy finish out the research, and then I'll have Kathy get with Mr. Kicko, who's her direct report, and let Mr. Kicko look at that. And then Mr. Kicko will supply his opinion to me.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking is I would definitely like to see that upped even farther than possibly 150, even maybe, 200.
It's just, it will change the other thing about that is you got to take in consideration the people whose bills are under $100. Their fee may jump up to $3.
And which is going to bring me to my next question. Let me ask you this, Mrs. Marshall. When you guys, when it was all done in-house before the online option, I mean, did you guys spend a lot of time dealing with paying bills at the line, more so than what you are now? I mean.
Oh yeah, before we had the online option, there was people that came in and back before we ate all the credit card fees that we were being charged.
Right.
We never turned them off, turned them back to the customer. And there was a lot of revenue that was lost in that. I don't remember the exact figures. Colleen might remember that from when she was here before. Now, I'm losing my train of thought here. Give me a second.
Well, let me tell you why I'm asking, why you
Okay.
collect your train of thought is, and I'm just asking, what would happen if we ate the cost of that credit card processing fee? And the reason I'm asking is I don't own a business, so I don't understand it. I mean, I understand the fundamentals behind why we do it, but I know there's smaller businesses in the area that sell very small price items, and they do a credit card fee. And normally you would say, well, that fee is built into their product, which I guess it is to a degree, but if some of these small businesses can sell you, whatever, a trinket for $2 and swipe your card and you're not getting a fee, why do we have to do it?
Well, with Invoice Cloud, I mean, that's probably how they make their money.
Mm-mm.
is to, because we don't pay them. Go ahead, Brandy.
It's actually the credit card companies that actually institute those fees. So
Okay.
it's not like even like, let's say Mike at Marathon, he has an agreement with whatever credit card processing system that he has.
Okay.
And for those little swipes, they won't get charged that fee. They just probably pay like a flat thing year, and then that's how they get it. But it's always whoever processes your credit card payments. So when we first brought credit card payments, when people could come in and pay, for a while there, it wasn't fee-based, but then we quickly changed it to the fee, which is the same fee that they pay now. When you come in, you pay over $100. Even if you pay online or you pay at the window, you're still paying that fee. But again, that is with the company that we have the agreement with.
Right. Okay. I'll go to Mr. Rodwell, then Mr. Graham.
Just to piggyback off Mr. Bridge, Mike at Marathon pays a 46-cent swipe fee. He's one of my customers. I
Is that
talk
what he
to him
does?
regular. It doesn't matter if it's a $1 item or $60 in gas.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's a swipe fee for him. Like I said, I think it's 43 or 46 cents. That's why you see a lot of these places now have a minimum charge. You have to spend $5, $7, $10,
Yep.
or they'll have a credit card fee because that's covering the swipe fee
Mhm.
from them, because they can't pass that on. You can't pass that on in your cost of goods.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's straight loss to their profit line.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rodwell. Mr. Graham.
When we were investigating credit card processing, everyone we checked with, it was a monthly fee plus a percentage of each sale. We were paying $30 a month plus 1.5% of each sale.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, different people are different. And it goes off volume too, like a Speedway is going to swipe more than, Mr. Grimm when he had his business, or even how many, accounts that we have that come in and swipe. So obviously the more volume you do, the lesser they're going to be able to pass that, charge.
Volume equals discount, just like in
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, thank you. I wanted to get a little bit better understanding on it.
Mhm.
So, all right. Well, that's all I had. Does council have anything else for this meeting? All right. Well, I will, before we, adjourn, I would want to thank Mrs. Marshall for coming and Mr. Jeffries for bothering you on such a bright, sunny, warm day here in New Carlisle.
Don't forget Howie. Don't forget
Thank
Howie.
you.
Is Howie still awake?
Howie's always here. He's not a new face.
There he is. Yeah, Mr. Cook is always with us.
He's the old pro. So, all right. Well, with that being
Move
said,
to adjourn.
there we go.
Second.
Second.
I got Councilwoman Nowakowski as the first.
And I think I heard second from Miss Eggleston, was it?
I heard Mr.
Here,
Grimm.
Grim.
I heard
Who
both.
was-
Who would like to take it?
Peggy
Oh.
can have.
Peggy has it.
Okay, so we got
Good job.
two motions to adjourn. So I'll go through the line here. Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Yes.
I don't have to call Mr. Cobb's name, so he's not here, right?
Oh, we need to make a motion to excuse.
Yes.
Yes, motion to excuse. Let me write that note here.
So moved.
Don't move.
Second.
Okay, I am not Emily. This is all going too fast.
Yeah, no, you're good. Tell us when you're ready. I've got
Motion,
the-
okay, who had the first motion for Emily's really good at this. Who had the
The mo-
first motion to excuse?
Vice Mayor.
Miss Nowakowski.
Nowakowski, okay, and who had the second?
I believe it was Miss
Hey.
Eggleston.
Hey.
All right, and this motion for the public is to excuse Councilman Cobb from this meeting. So we have two motions on the floor. We'll go through the roll. Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Yes.
All right, so a vote is 6-0. We have excused Mr. Cobb, and a vote of 6-0. We are also adjourned.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Everyone have a pleasant evening. We'll see you in the regular scheduled council meeting on the 19th,
Tuesday.
Yep.
Tuesday.
Night.
Tuesday.
Night.
Night.
All
right, good night.
Jake and Kathy.
Okay, see ya.